Welcome back to ZE Coins Today. We are diving into the fascinating world of numismatics as we uncover the top 7 most valuable Washington quarter-dollar coins that are worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right. Some of these quarters might just be lying around in your old change jar, and if you find one of these rare gems, you could be looking at thousands if not millions of dollars in value. So stay tuned as we count down these valuable treasures based on their rarity, minting errors, condition, and current market demand. Diving deep into the story of the 1987 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it might look like just another pocket change coin, but there's more to it than meets the eye. From its origins to surprising auction prices, this quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents. So don't go anywhere. Let's start with the basics. The 1987 Washington quarter was part of a long-standing series that began in 1932. It was originally created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features a bust of the first president of the United States facing left, with the word liberty above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" to the left, the mint mark to the right, and the year 1987 below. Now, the P Mint mark stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which struck over 582 million Washington quarters in that year alone. That's a lot of quarters. Because of that high mintage, most 1987 quarters are common in circulated condition. But as we always say in numismatics, condition is everything. Even a common coin can become a treasure if it's in the right shape. So let's talk condition. If you have a 1987 Washington quarter that has been in circulation, showing typical wear and tear, its value is usually around face value, 25 cents. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, especially graded MS65 or higher, that's when things get interesting. MS stands for mint state and is a term used by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. An MS65 coin is considered gem uncirculated with strong luster and only minor marks visible under magnification. According to recent market activity, an MS65 1987 quarter can fetch anywhere between $5 and $20. But it doesn't stop there. In MS67 condition, the value can jump to over $100. And at MS68, a nearly perfect coin, prices at auction have gone as high as $400 or more. That's a serious return on a coin most people ignore in their spare change. But there's more. Error coins and varieties can multiply the value dramatically. For example, a double die obverse or reverse, a clipped planchet, or an off-center strike could make your coin a rare collector's item. These errors are often missed at the mint but can make a coin significantly more valuable. Some error 1987 quarters have sold for over $500 depending on the severity and rarity of the mistake. Let's also talk proof sets. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced special proof coins in both San Francisco and Philadelphia. However, the 1987 quarter wasn't made as a proof coin. So any highly mirrored example claiming to be a proof with a P Mint mark could be a post-mint alteration or a misidentification. Be careful and always verify with a professional before buying or selling what seems like a rare find. Now, what about silver content? That's a common question. Sadly, quarters minted after 1964, including the 1987 are made of copper-nickel clad and contain no silver at all. So melt value isn't a factor here. The true value lies in rarity, condition, and demand. Speaking of demand, the current coin market is booming for high-grade Washington quarters. As more collectors search for top-grade coins to complete their sets, demand continues to drive up prices. In 2025, coins like the 1987 in near-perfect condition are gaining more attention, especially with interest growing in pre-statehood Washington quarters. This adds to the competitive nature of auctions and the increasing value for top-tier examples. So how can you find one? Start by checking your pocket change, old coin jars, or family coin collections. If you find a shiny 1987 quarter with no visible wear, consider having it graded. Also, keep an eye out at estate sales, garage sales, and coin shows. You never know when a hidden gem might surface. To sum it all up, the 1987 Washington quarter may be common in circulation, but in high grades or with rare errors, it can be worth hundreds of dollars. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual coin hunter, it's always worth checking those quarters carefully. You might just find a valuable piece of American history in your own home. We're diving deep into a seemingly ordinary coin that might be hiding in your change jar or tucked away in a drawer. We're talking about the 1990 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that's been quietly gaining attention among collectors and investors alike. You might be surprised to learn just how valuable some of these quarters can be. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's explore the history, the rare varieties, and just how much money this little piece of American history could be worth today. Let's start at the beginning. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It was only supposed to be a one-year commemorative issue, but the design proved so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty quarter and became the standard circulating quarter for decades. Fast forward to 1990, and the United States Mint was still producing the classic Washington design. These coins were minted in huge numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the Denver Mint striking over 927 million quarters that year. So you're probably thinking, how could a coin that's so common ever be worth more than 25 cents? Well, the answer lies in condition, rarity, and errors. First, let's talk about condition. Most quarters from 1990 are heavily circulated. They've been tossed in pockets, dropped in vending machines, and jostled around in cash registers for over 3 decades. Finding a 1990 quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition is not as easy as you might think. If you manage to find one graded MS67 or higher by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, you could be looking at a coin worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s. In fact, a top population example in MS68 has sold for over $1,000 at auction. That's 40 times face value for a quarter that looks nearly flawless under magnification. But what really gets collectors excited are the errors. That's where the real money starts coming in. Some 1990 quarters have misstrikes, off-center strikes, double dies, or even planchet errors. For example, a 1990 quarter struck on a nickel planchet, that's the metal used for a 5-cent coin, has fetched over $1,000. These errors are rare but not impossible to find in pocket change or old collections. Another dramatic example is the broad strike error, where the coin is struck without a retaining collar. It spreads wider than normal and has no defined rim. These kinds of mint mistakes can easily bring in hundreds of dollars depending on how dramatic and well-preserved the error is. Now let's talk about the market today. As of this year, the numismatic market is still strong, especially for high-grade and error coins. Collectors are paying top dollar for coins that stand out from the crowd. A regular circulated 1990 quarter is only worth face value, 25 cents, but a certified gem mint state example or a known error coin could be worth $100, $500, or even $1,000 or more depending on demand and rarity. The highest known sale for a 1990 quarter was around $1,700. For a coin graded MS68 by PCGS, that's a serious price for a coin you could mistake for change at the gas station. So how can you tell if you have a valuable 1990 quarter? First, look for the mint mark. The D stands for Denver. Then check the condition. If the coin looks sharp, clean, and has no wear, it might be uncirculated. Compare it to images of mint state coins online or use a magnifying glass to look for strong details. If you think it's in excellent condition or has an unusual error, it might be worth getting it professionally graded. PCGS and NGC both offer trusted grading services, and a high grade can dramatically increase the coin's value. But keep in mind, grading isn't free. So it's usually only worth it if the coin is already in great shape or clearly something special. In conclusion, the 1990 Washington quarter might seem ordinary on the surface, but dig a little deeper and you'll find some real treasures hiding in plain sight. Whether it's a flawless mint state coin, a rare planchet error, or an off-center strike, these coins have the potential to bring in big money if you know what to look for. So next time you go through your change, don't overlook the quarters. One of them might just be your next great find. We're diving into 2 fascinating coins that have captured the attention of numismatists and investors alike. We're talking about the 2000p Washington quarter dollar and the 1788 state quarter series, particularly focusing on how these coins, minted for circulation, can be worth far more than their face value today. Let's start with the 2000p Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks like just another 25-cent piece. But don't be fooled. This quarter was part of the legendary 50-state quarters program. a massive initiative launched by the United States Mint in 1999. Each quarter in the series features a unique reverse design celebrating a different U.S. state. In the year 2000, 5 states were honored: Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Virginia. The P Mint mark on these coins tells us they were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. What makes the 2000 P quarter so special? 2 words: rare errors. Some of the most valuable 2000 P state quarters include striking mistakes that occurred during production. Among the most famous is the 2000 P South Carolina quarter with a dramatic off-center strike or double dies. These errors are rare and highly desirable, pushing their value into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. Another example is the 2000 P Massachusetts quarter, where some copies were struck on the wrong planchet, like a dime or foreign coin. These types of errors make these coins worth big money on the market. Collectors are always on the hunt for minting mistakes, and the year 2000 provided plenty of surprises. Now let's talk about the mysterious date 1788. While no quarters were actually struck in 1788, the U.S. Mint itself didn't even exist until 1792. This year appears prominently on many state quarters. Why? Because 1788 was the year that several key states joined the Union. For example, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, and New York all ratified the Constitution in 1788. So when the state quarter series began, the U.S. Mint included 1788 on each state's design to reflect their year of statehood. This makes the 1,788 dated state quarters both historically rich and highly collectible. While they aren't rare in general circulation, uncirculated or proof versions can be worth a premium, especially quarters struck in silver as part of the proof sets, or ones graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at high grades like MS68 or PR70. Let's dig into current market values. A standard 2000 P quarter in circulated condition might still only be worth face value. But if you've got a clean, shiny one in mint state, it could be worth a few dollars. Now, if it has an error like a double die or an off-center strike, the value jumps significantly. Some rare error coins have sold for over $1,000 in recent auctions. A 2000 P New Hampshire quarter with a dramatic misstrike sold for over $700. A Massachusetts 2000 P with a planchet error brought in over $900. On the other hand, quarters with the 1788 statehood date, particularly silver-proof versions from the San Francisco Mint with an S Mint mark, have also been doing well. A silver-proof 1999 to 2008 quarter featuring a 1788 state, graded PR70 deep cameo, can fetch $50 to a few $100 depending on the demand and the state. Grading is everything in the coin world. The condition of your quarter makes a massive difference. A standard coin with a scratch or worn surface won't sell for much, but one that's clean, sharp, and graded by a third-party service can be worth 10, 50, or even 100 times its face value. So what should you do if you have a 2000 P quarter or a state quarter with 1788 on it? First, check the coin's condition. Look for signs of wear, luster, and any errors or unusual markings. Second, check for the mint mark. Philadelphia quarters are marked with a P, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. Coins from San Francisco, especially in silver proof, are the most valuable. Third, consider getting your coin graded if you think it might be in exceptional condition. If you're lucky enough to find a rare error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Even standard high-grade state quarters are increasing in value as the years go by and pristine examples become harder to find. The 50 State Quarters program brought new life to modern coin collecting. It introduced millions of people to the thrill of the hunt. And among all those billions of coins, there are gems hiding in plain sight. The 2000 P quarter and the 1788 state quarters represent a unique combination of American history, minting artistry, and the chance to turn pocket change into profit. So next time you get change at the grocery store, take a closer look. That little quarter might just be worth a lot more than 25 cents. If it might be worth far more than just 25 cents? Well, if you've ever come across a 2001 D Washington quarter with the Georgia design marked with the date 1788, you just might be holding something that collectors are paying big money for. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of the 2001 D Washington quarter. We'll break down its unique historical connection, why some of these coins are worth thousands of dollars, and what you should be looking for in your own pocket change right now. You definitely don't want to miss this. Let's start with a bit of history. The 2001 Georgia quarter is part of the U.S. Mint's legendary 50-state quarters program, one of the most popular and widely collected coin series in American history. This program ran from 1999 to 2008 and featured unique designs for each state in the order they ratified the Constitution or joined the Union. Georgia was the fourth state to ratify the Constitution, which it did in 1788, and that's why you see that date on the coin. The quarter itself, however, was minted in 2001. So the 2001 Georgia quarter is a Denver-minted coin commemorating Georgia's entry into the Union in 1788. It features a beautiful design with a peach, symbolizing Georgia's nickname as the Peach State, flanked by live oak sprigs and the state motto, Wisdom, Justice, Moderation. Now let's get into the real reason you're watching this video, the value. Most 2001 Georgia quarters are only worth face value. That's right, 25 cents. They were minted in the hundreds of millions, with over 488 million struck at the Denver Mint. That's a massive number. But here's the thing, not all quarters are created equal. Some of these coins, because of minting errors, condition, or special characteristics, have become incredibly valuable. Let's talk about those rare, high-value examples. The key factor that drives up the price of any coin is rarity, and in the case of the 2001 Georgia quarter, the rarest and most valuable versions are those with minting errors. One of the most famous and valuable errors you should look out for is the double die. In this error, the coin's design is accidentally struck twice, slightly offset, causing elements like the date or lettering to appear doubled. If you find a double die 2001 quarter, especially with doubling visible on the word Georgia, the peach, or the date, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity and condition. Another rare error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned during the striking process, leaving part of the design missing. The more dramatic the misalignment, say a 40% or 50% off-center strike, the more valuable the coin. Some of these can sell for $300 or more, especially in uncirculated condition. Then there's the die break or die crack error, often referred to as a cud. This is when part of the die that strikes the coin cracks or breaks, leaving a raised blob or line on the coin. It's a dramatic error that's very popular among collectors. A 2001 Georgia quarter with a prominent die crack, especially near the date or across the peach, could fetch anywhere from $50 to $500 depending on the size and location of the break. And of course, condition matters immensely. A coin's grade, how well preserved it is, makes a huge difference. Coins that are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and given a mint state grade of 67 or higher are extremely desirable. A 2001 Georgia quarter in MS68 condition, for example, has sold for more than $3,000 at auction. That's right, over $3,000 for a coin most people would overlook in their pocket change. Let's talk about the current market trends. As of now, in 2025, collectors are paying close attention to error coins and high-grade state quarters. There's a growing demand for coins with clean surfaces, sharp strikes, and minimal contact marks. In online auctions, a standard circulated 2001 Georgia quarter is still worth just face value, but uncirculated examples are going for $1 to $5, and error coins can command much more. One known double die error sold on eBay for over $1,200 just last year. And let's not forget, coin collecting is a market that fluctuates. Rarity, demand, and the economy all play a part in what someone is willing to pay. If you've got one of these quarters in pristine condition or with a notable error, now could be a great time to get it appraised or even graded. So how do you know if your quarter is worth something? Start by checking the coin for obvious visual errors. Doubling, off-center design, missing elements, or raised lines that shouldn't be there. Then look at the condition. Is it shiny, uncirculated, without scratches or blemishes? You might want to invest in a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass to help you examine your coins more closely. And if you find something that looks unusual, compare it to known error examples online or take it to a local coin dealer. To wrap things up, while the 2001 Georgia Washington quarter might seem like an ordinary piece of pocket change, it holds the potential for serious value, especially if you find one with a rare error or in exceptional condition. With coin collecting gaining more popularity and more people paying attention to what's in their wallets, Now is the perfect time to start looking. You could be just one quarter away from discovering a hidden treasure. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting with a spotlight on two coins that have stirred a lot of excitement among collectors and investors: the 2004 Washington quarter and the mysterious mention of the 1848 quarter dollar. We'll be exploring the history, the myths, the values, and the current market prices, so make sure you watch this video until the end because you might just have one of these valuable coins sitting in your pocket or tucked away in a jar at home. Let's start with the 2004 Washington quarter. It was part of the immensely popular 50-state quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008. In 2004, 5 states were honored: Michigan, Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. These quarters were released in the order of statehood, with each one carrying its own reverse design representing the state's unique history and identity, but the one that's caused the most buzz among collectors is the 2004 Wisconsin quarter, specifically those minted in Philadelphia, which carry the P mint mark. Now here's where it gets interesting. In 2000, for a few Wisconsin quarters began surfacing with something very peculiar: a small design difference that would later become known as the extra leaf error. There are two known variations of this error, one known as the extra leaf high and the other as the extra leaf low. These are both die varieties caused during the minting process, likely due to a foreign object or damage to the die that created the illusion of an extra leaf on the left side of the corn stalk on the coin's reverse. These errors were not supposed to happen, but their accidental nature is what makes them rare and highly collectible. At first, the coin community debated whether these were intentional or accidental, but over time it became accepted that these were in fact legitimate die errors and not altered after minting. Now let's talk value. Because these error coins are limited in quantity, they command strong prices in the market. As of 2025, a circulated 2004 Wisconsin quarter with the extra leaf low or high can fetch between $50 to $150 depending on condition, but if you're lucky enough to have one in near mint state condition or better, you could be looking at $300, $500, or even over $1,000 for high-graded examples sold at major auctions. Yes, one of these tiny pieces of change could be worth serious money. PCGS and NGC, which are the top coin grading companies in the world, have certified hundreds of these extra leaf error coins, with some graded as high as MS67 and MS68. Those are the coins that really attract top dollar because they're not only rare but also preserved in exceptional condition. But what about this so-called 1848 Washington quarter? Let's clear something up, because this is where a lot of confusion happens. The Washington quarter was not introduced until 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, so technically there is no official U.S. mint-issued Washington quarter from the year 1848. If you've seen references to one online or in coin listings, it could be a mistake, a private issue, a counterfeit, or possibly confusion with a different denomination like the Seated Liberty quarter, which was minted in the 1800s, including 1848. The 1848 Seated Liberty quarter, however, is a real coin and can also be very valuable, especially in high grades or with rare mint marks. The Seated Liberty design ran from 1838 to 1891, and the 1848 version was minted in Philadelphia, New Orleans, and with some rarity in proof form in circulated condition. The 1848 Seated Liberty quarter is usually worth between $50 and $150, but if you find one in mint state condition, the value can skyrocket to several $1,000s, especially if it's a proof or has an extremely low mintage variation. So if you come across a coin that says 1848 and it looks like a Washington quarter, be cautious. It's likely not a genuine U.S. mint coin and maybe a fantasy piece or a replica. Always get unusual coins authenticated by a trusted coin dealer or grading service before assuming you've hit the jackpot. Now back to the 2004 quarters. Beyond the Wisconsin errors, the other states released that year also have value, but not to the same degree. A 2004 Florida or Texas quarter in average circulated condition is generally worth face value. However, coins in high mint state grades MS66 and above can still be worth $10 to $50 to the right collector, especially if they are slabbed and certified. Here's a pro tip: when going through your quarters, always check for any doubling odd markings or things that just look off. It could be a die clash, a cut, a struck-through error, or even a planchet issue. These kinds of mint errors can add significant value to an otherwise ordinary coin. The coin market is constantly evolving, and the value of coins depends heavily on grade, rarity, demand, and collector interest. The 2004 Washington quarter with the Wisconsin extra leaf error remains one of the most sought-after state quarters ever minted, and its value has held strong over the years. In fact, some experts believe that as more of these coins are pulled from circulation, their prices may continue to rise due to increasing scarcities. So what should you do now? Check your pocket change, go through your old coin rolls, search that jar in your closet. You might just discover a small fortune hiding in plain sight, and if you find anything interesting, don't clean the coin and don't try to restore it yourself. Just store it safely and consider having it graded professionally to unlock its full value. we dive deep into the world of coins, currency, and collectibles. Today, we're exploring a modern coin that has quickly caught the attention of collectors and investors alike, the 2020p Washington quarter dollar. You might think a 2020 quarter isn't worth much beyond 25 cents. But think again. Some of these coins are selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition, rarity, and specific varieties. Let's jump into the fascinating world of the 2020p quarter and why it might be hiding a small fortune in your pocket change. First, a little background. The 2020 Washington quarters were part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which started in 2010 and ended in 2021. Each year, the U.S. Mint released 5 different designs featuring national parks and sites across the United States. The 2020 quarters featured National Park of American Samoa, Ware Farm National Historic Site in Connecticut, Salt River Bay in the Virgin Islands, Marsh-Billings Rockefeller in Vermont, and Tallgrass Prairie in Kansas. All of these coins feature the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse or front, designed by John Flanagan. Now, let's talk about the P Mint mark. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, one of the main production facilities of the United States Mint. Millions of quarters are minted there each year. So what makes the 2020 P quarter special? As always, it's not just the coin itself but the details that matter. Let's break down the key factors that are driving up value. First, let's talk about error coins. These are among the most valuable quarters from 2020. Coins with minting mistakes are highly sought after because they're rare by nature. One of the most famous errors from 2020 is the bat quarter from American Samoa featuring a mother fruit bat and her pup. Some of the 2020 P bat quarters were struck with die chips, especially near the mouth or wing of the bat, creating what collectors call the drooling bat or spitting bat effect. Coins with this error have sold for over $50 in circulated condition and even higher in mint state. Another error type that brings big money is off-center strikes, where the image on the coin isn't properly aligned. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, these coins can fetch anywhere from $100 to $500 or more, especially if the date is still visible. Then there are doubled dies, where certain parts of the coin's design appear doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Keep an eye on the text, the date, and Washington's eye for any signs of doubling. Double die varieties have been found on several 2020 quarters and can sell for hundreds depending on how strong the doubling is. Next, let's look at condition and grading. A quarter straight from circulation might be worth 25 cents or a few dollars if it has a common error. But a coin graded MS67 or higher by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC can command a serious premium. For example, a 2020 P-BAT quarter graded MS67 has sold for over $150. At MS68 or higher, the value can easily double or triple. There are very few coins that reach this level of perfection, which is why collectors are willing to pay top dollar. There's also a very limited number of experimental or first strike coins that can be worth thousands. These are coins struck with special finishes or released early in the minting process and certified with a first strike label. Collectors value these because they represent the earliest examples struck from new dies, and the quality is typically exceptional. Now let's shift to current market value. As of 2025, the demand for 2020 era quarters is still strong. On eBay and other auction sites, circulated error coins regularly sell between $20 and $100. Certified mint state coins with high grades or dramatic errors can bring in several hundred. If you happen to find one with a rare variety like a double die or retained strike-through, that price can shoot into the thousands depending on the buyer. So what should you be looking for in your change jar or coin roll? First, focus on coins with the P mint mark from 2020. Then check the design carefully for errors like die chips, off-center strikes, and doubling. A magnifying glass or a good coin microscope will be your best friend. Look especially closely at the American Samoa bat quarter. It's become the face of 2020 era coins and still holds significant value. Also, take note of any quarters that appear unusually shiny or well-preserved. These might be uncirculated and could be worth sending in for grading. Even if a coin looks normal at first glance, a hidden error or rare variety might be waiting to be discovered. To wrap things up, the 2020 P Washington quarter dollar might be a modern coin, but it has already earned a place in the collector's spotlight. Whether it's the infamous drooling bat, a dramatic off-center strike, or a pristine high-grade specimen, there's real value hidden in these coins. Don't underestimate what's in your pocket or coin jar. A simple quarter could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video on high-value dimes and nickels you should be looking for right now. If any of it might be worth far more than just its face value, today we're diving into one of the most talked about modern coins, the 2022p Washington quarter dollar. This isn't just any ordinary quarter. This coin could be hiding serious value in your pocket change. Stay with me as we explore the history, the striking design, rare varieties, errors, and the potential for some of these coins to be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. The 2022p Washington quarter was part of the groundbreaking American Women Quarters program launched by the United States Mint. This program began in 2022 and continues to honor significant American women who made notable contributions in a wide range of fields. The 2022 quarters feature 5 different designs, each showcasing a different historical figure. But no matter the reverse design, the obverse of the coin was a major change. For the first time in decades, the portrait of George Washington was not the standard John Flanagan design we've seen since 1932. Instead, it featured a bold and fresh look. The 2022 design shows George Washington in a left-facing portrait, originally created by sculptor Laura Garden Fraser in 1931. Although her design was initially passed over in favor of Flanagan, it was finally brought to life over 90 years later. This obverse change marked a historic return to the original vision and gave collectors something new and exciting to look for. Now, the 2022 quarters minted in Philadelphia bear the letter P, just to the right of Washington's braid. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, and while that might sound like a huge number, what makes them valuable isn't the common strikes. It's the rare errors, die varieties, and minting quirks that sometimes sneak into production. Let's talk about those money-making details. First up, the 2022p Maya Angelou quarter. This was the first in the American Women series. Some collectors discovered double dies, die chips, and even extra material near her hands or under her arms, what the community nicknamed the extra feather error. These can fetch between $20 and $50 if certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. If you have a high-grade specimen in Mint State 67 or above, you could be looking at coins worth over $100. Then we have the 2022p Sally Ride quarter. A favorite among error hunters, some examples feature dramatic die breaks, commonly known as cut errors, near the rim or in Sally's hair. These can easily fetch $40 to $200 depending on how extreme the error is and how well it shows. Even more impressive are quarters with misstrikes or off-center errors. Some have sold for over $400 at auction. The Wilma Mankiller quarter also had its fair share of varieties. Look for doubling on her name or slight shifts in the stars and lettering. These double die obverse or reverses might not always jump out at first glance, but under magnification you could be holding a coin worth big bucks. Certified high-grade Wilma Mankiller quarters have already sold for over $200, and prices are climbing as collectors scramble to complete high-quality sets. Next up is the Nina Otero Warren quarter. This coin has sparked a lot of buzz because of strong die chips and unusual strike-through errors. One rare find was a Nina Otero Warren quarter with a struck-through grease error that made part of the lettering nearly vanish. This bizarre error helped the coin bring in more than $300 at auction. Not bad for a coin that someone probably pulled from a grocery store register. And finally, the 2022 Anna May Wong quarter. Easily one of the most artistic designs, featuring her iconic resting hand pose. This coin had several minor varieties, and the highest quality examples in Mint State 70 have reached values of $500 and more. Add an error or dramatic die break to the mix and the value spikes even higher. So what should you look for to determine if your 2022p quarter is valuable? First, check the overall condition. Coins in mint state with no scratches, dings, or where command the highest premiums. Then, use a magnifying glass or loupe to scan the surface for any doubling, missing details, or extra material. Die cracks, die chips, struck-through errors, and off-center strikes are where the big money lives. Submit any promising finds to a reputable grading company. Certified coins not only confirm authenticity but also attract higher bids from serious collectors. Now let's talk about the current market. As of 2025, demand for early coins from the American Women Quarter Series is heating up. Collectors who missed out on the first releases are paying a premium to fill their albums. Auction sites, coin shows, and even online marketplaces are seeing an uptick in prices. While most common circulated 2022 P quarters are still worth face value, the rare error coins, high grades, and uncirculated examples are steadily climbing in value. Even raw coins with minor varieties can go for $20 to $50, while certified errors and top condition coins can reach into the hundreds. And the best part? These quarters are still in circulation, meaning you could find one in your pocket change right now, so before you toss your spare change into a jar or a vending machine, take a closer look. That 2022 P Washington quarter might just be worth a whole lot more than 25 cents. Keep hunting, keep learning, and you just might strike silver in a sea of copper nickel. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just getting started, the 2022 quarters are modern treasures hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss out on more hidden coin values and collecting tips. Until next time, happy hunting and good luck out there.